One of the things that did come out of this, as you mentioned at the beginning of your chat there, was, this shouldn't take down the playoff system, of which Brad Keselowski tweeted right after. This should be the last straw on the camel's back for the playoffs. I
Yeah.
don't agree.
I
To
didn't
your
agree with
point,
that.
I think the playoff system is really cool. It is unique. It is interesting. We've been down this a million times, and I know there's a lot of people out there that don't feel the same way as us. I just don't see how you see it that way. Even for us to have competed in it and been, knocked out or whatever, it's still very exciting. And I interviewed Kyle Larson, which didn't actually get aired, and I asked him about him not making it, being the winningest driver by double the amount of wins on the season, being the leading number one seed into the playoffs. And he goes, I could hate it, but it's exciting. And he literally had a smile on his face. He said it's exciting. And I was like, there's a guy that for everyone that hates it, here's a guy that just missed out on going for a championship, and he was smiling after Martinsville because he's like, it's exciting, it's cool, it's high pressure, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to discuss. And so I think it's obviously here to stay, and this should not knock it down, but there's probably something that's going to come of this that potentially could help this whole collusion thing. Although I don't know, it may always exist, and we just have to deal with it. One other controversy that kind of got overlooked from all this at the end was this restart that happened midway through the race where Kyle Busch lost a wheel down in turn 3 and 4. It was obvious the wheel was bouncing around the track. NASCAR goes green, then immediately goes yellow. People had chose their positions, including Ryan Blaney, for the restart, thinking a restart actually comes to fruition. He lost positions because of that. And obviously, by the rule book, that is a green flag than a yellow flag. It's a green flag that probably should have never came out. It continues a trend throughout these playoffs and in 2024 of suspect officiating that is just, continuing down this path of saying, look, there's got to be some major changes for all that's on the line in these playoffs. The officiating has to come up to the standard of what's happening on racetrack. And I think the thing I've kind of fallen to is like, you have a playoff system that creates randomness. You have a car that creates parity, which allows randomness. If with so much randomness built in tracks like Talladega and that sort of thing, the one thing that needs to be a constant is the officiating and the rules. And that has also this year added to the randomness of this whole thing, which I think is a problem. And that needs to be fixed in the offseason. I think it needs to be one of NASCAR's highest priorities, is to really buckle down on what they want out of officiating, who's making the decisions, how they're interpreting the rule book. There have been many points just in the last 10 weeks where the rule book has been reinterpreted from what has been the precedent set for the last 20 years. And I can give you a couple examples off the top of my head. The Kansas playoff race for Xfinity. We were within 3 cars of completing the green flags pit cycle. There was a tire that got into the grass. For the last 20 years, and especially in the last probably 5 or 10, NASCAR would have let that complete the green flag cycle and then thrown a caution, which is everyone's okay with. That's fine. They threw the caution with 3 cars left in the green flag cycle, which locked us a lap down. It completely changed our race. There was playoffs implications on the line, championship implications, and it's just like that is a reinterpretation of the rule book. I'll give you another example. The 8 car at Miami in Cup was penalized for a safety violation for hitting his own crew member coming into the pits, into his box.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have not heard of that penalty being, given in the 20-plus years I've been watching NASCAR and the 15 years I've been racing in it. And I asked a lot of, big-time legends if they had heard of that. None of them did. It was a reinterpretation of the safety violation of the rule book. That has to stop. People have to, whoever's making decisions has to look at the last 20 years, go back and watch all these races, mark down the moments that these things can happen and say, this is the precedent set, this is how we'll operate. But a reinterpretation of the rule book, to me, has been one of the biggest issues of NASCAR in 2024, and they got to fix it. So,
I share in that. I think that a huge weight in that, to me, is attributed to just the increasing amount of rules. More legislation, more rules written means that more interpretation is needed on a regular basis, on a more consistent basis, and you're going to end up not getting it right.
You know what I think? I've seen Elton Sawyer more this year than my own girlfriend.
Not nearly as good looking?
No, No, he doesn't. He doesn't. No, no. I like Elton. Good guy. Just don't want to see him so much.